Physiologically,
that's
yeah.
the word, yeah. Say philosophy, yeah. So
We're fair physiologically.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to speak into that more, because that to
Sure.
me I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
You are now listening to the Nick Francis Podcast, Episode 3, produced by Sky Sprout Digital Media.
Welcome, everybody, to the Nick Francis Podcast. And today we have an amazing guest, Ryan Clarkin. And I'm going to let him introduce himself because your job description is a little above what I can understand. So go for it.
I do a lot of stuff. I would say my name is Ryan Clarkin. I'm 22 years old. I'm a mindset coach, and I love coaching people into really bridging the gap between where they are right now and shifting their mindset and their psychology so that they can get their mind on their side, overcoming negative self-talk, fear of failure, fear of judgment, turning that into power. And I also lead workshops and am in the digital product space a bit now as well. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
And what in the digital product space, what are you selling right now?
Right now, I recently created a program called the Mindset Mastery Membership, which is a membership website for people who want to master their mindset.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. So if you want to kind of dive in and tell us how you got to, like, tell us a little bit of your story and how you got into like this field.
Yeah. So, I mean, from what I can remember, like 16 years old, I always had a dream of living life on my terms, of being an entrepreneur, because I looked up to a lot of people online who were doing that stuff.
Sure.
But I had all of this fear and all of this doubt. Like, there's a pretty decent period of time where I had that dream, but I wasn't acknowledging it because I was just terrified. And so basically, like, I wanted to go after it, but I was afraid that I would fail. And even, some friends that I had was like, if you do that, you'll probably fail. And they're like, I'll be making, 6 figures while you're broke. I even had some mentors at the time that I really looked up to that said I'd be broke if I went after what I loved. And which was like, but I viewed it as a test. I was like, all right, it's a test. Like, I'm still doing it. And like, my mom didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. So like, I wasn't in the optimal, like, my parents are incredibly supportive, but I wasn't in like an optimal environment for growing a business.
Right.
I didn't really know where to start. I just had a dream. And, I was going to college for a short period of time. And I just realized, after I asked my business professor if he owned his own business, and he said no, that I might be in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And so I just had this crazy idea. And I remember sitting on my couch thinking about this idea, and it felt so outlandish and crazy to me, because like, I've never heard of it being done before. But I was like, what if I hired a business coach, like someone that I looked up to? And like, it's so normal now. Like, of course, that's what people do. But at the time, it was like, is that really possible? Or like, learning from the people who I look up to? And so it's just popping in my mind. And I remember hitting this tipping point, this like breaking point, where I was doing calculus, and I actually was journaling my purpose, like what my purpose is, right before I was doing my calculus homework.
Wow.
And so it was like, on one side, I have my purpose, which is to, show people how to create a fulfilling life and share the best tools that I have, and like coach people, because that's what fills me up the most. And then on my right, I have this calculus homework that I'm pissed off with, that I'm frustrated with, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. And so it's this dynamic between what I love, which is my purpose, my calling, and then my circumstance and what I was living with, which was calculus. And I was just like, I'm done. I hit that breaking point. I was like, I'm done. I was like, I'm withdrawing from all my classes right now. And I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to, Tony Robbins says, burning the boats.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to burn the boats, burn the ships in the harbor, because I was falling into this like comfort zone of mediocrity in school. And because societally, if you're in school, you're viewed as successful. And so I felt like successful in some degree, and I wasn't putting the time and everything I want to into my business. But more than that, I felt like I was wasting so much time living out someone's vision for me, my parents' vision for me, my family's vision for me, society's vision for me, versus really following my calling and going after what I felt like I was meant to do. And so I remember pulling up the withdrawal screen and my heart just like pounding in my chest and anxiety and fear, but excitement at the same time, just filling up my entire body. And I was just like, I'm going to do it. And so I hit withdrawal and I was like, oh my God. And I felt the most free that I've ever felt in my entire life. Like I was like, I am finally living for myself.
Yep.
Because I've always been a self-learning type of person. I always resented school, like didn't really enjoy it. I loved finding new things. Like even when I was in school, I was studying at the time bodybuilding and business. And
Sure.
like during when I was supposed to be doing other things in classes, I was focusing on that stuff, the stuff I wanted to learn. So I was like, I'm going to self-teach. I'm going to find mentors. I'm going to hire coaches and I'm going to elevate myself. And before I knew it, literally a week later, an ad popped up for Lewis Howes' School of Greatness Academy.
Oh, wow.
And I remember joining and being on a webcam conversation because he did live coaching with Lewis. And he was like, what's your story? How'd you end up here? And I was like, I dropped out of school and I joined the School of Greatness. And he started cracking up. He was like, that's awesome. And then I hired my dream business coach.
Oh, nice.
And started, like just building my business. Like instead of going to school, I went to the library and worked on my business and put the hours in and started, building my website and just studying and taking action, and had this new sense of fire and freedom and motivation that I acted upon. I started doing emotional intelligence and leadership workshops, investing in mindset trainings and coaches, like I said. Then before I knew it, my business started to elevate. My business started to grow. I started landing fitness coaching clients. And then I went out to Los Angeles for a trip for 7 days and met this celebrity trainer and saw him. He was like, come on, Ryan. And like, I was with my friend Nav too. And he was walking down the street and his name's Mark. And so he was like, watch this. And he's like picking up the phone and he's landing $1,000 clients like left and right. And I was like, what program is this for? He's like, oh, it's for my like warrior fitness training, my 8-week program. And I was like, how many people are in it? He was like 20. I was like, when did you launch it? A week ago? And so I'm like, this dude just did $20,000 in a week from like picking up the phone and talking to people. I was like, huh. And this is a magic moment for me. I said, if he could do that, I can do that.
Of course.
Most people, they look at someone and they go, I can't do that. And
Right.
they doubt themselves. But I was like, if he can do that, I can do that. And I went back home and I put together my first 8-week challenge. And I remember putting it together and having this idea and being like, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And then going to my bedroom and calling this guy who I knew from the gym, who I had a feeling he would invest. And I pitched it to him and he was like, yeah, dude, that sounds awesome. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, dude, I'm in. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this work. And then I did it and refined my skills and up my prices. And before I knew it, built my business to, a full-time, being able to really do it full-time and do well with it. And it's
That's awesome.
not only given me the freedom to travel to places that I really love
Yeah.
and to hire the best of the best mentors and coaches that I can find, but the fulfillment in what I do, I love it because I'm living and following my purpose and making a living doing it. And that's what inspires me to, share what I've learned and show other people how to do it as well.
That's awesome.
So,
And that first 8-week course, what was that? Is that like a mindset one or is that the fitness?
no, that was a fitness. So I actually
Okay.
started with fitness coaching.
Okay.
And then I transitioned because people started reaching out to me because they're like, I want to start a fitness business like yours. So then I did a bit of business coaching. And now I do mindset, more like mindset, lifestyle, and I do coaches as well. But I'm really focused on this Mindset Mastery membership thing because I want to scale my impact
Right.
and, impact way more people with this product.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So that's funny that you brought up calculus because that was like one of the pretty much the same, like literally the same exact class, but it was in high school that I knew that. But that was, I have one good award from high school that I always remember, and it's that my calculus teacher gave me an award for essentially taking calculus and running a business at the same time.
That's awesome.
And I was like, well, that's a really nice of you to do that, because you knew I was doing like the haunted house. He's like, no, I meant that you like ran your business in the back of my class. I'm like,
oh, that's awesome.
So he's like, you took calls from like the press and different people, like in like sponsors, like in the back of my classroom. And he's like, I knew you didn't like what we were doing, but you stuck it out. But that was like something that was like really funny, because I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's
like, I'm
notice.
glad you got an award for that. I wouldn't have gotten an award for it, because like the second assignment, I was like, I'm done.
That was high school, so I didn't really have a choice. But in college, that was interesting. So how long were you in college for?
About a little over 2 years.
Okay, about the same.
No,
nice.
wait. No, a little over 1 year.
Okay.
This at like the middle of the first quarter of my second year.
Okay.
I was like, I can't do this anymore.
What were you going for at the time?
Business and marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just was like, I knew that I could find better resources.
Yeah.
And for the money that we were spending, and it was just a smarter move.
Yeah. And then your first business coach, how did that relationship go? Because most people, when they want to start a business, find the other half of them. A coder finds a business person, or a business person finds a tech partner. You went a different direction, which is interesting.
Yeah, I wanted a coach. I wanted to hire people who are at where I wanted to be at.
Gotcha.
So I wanted to hire people, who were coaching people, who were making a great living doing it, who were, had a high level of influence online, significance online. So there's this guy named Jarrett Grossman, and I listened to his videos literally every single day when I was in high school. His name was Muscle Prodigy, and he made these motivational fitness videos.
Yeah.
Some had 10 million views plus.
Holy cow.
He's like the first guy who launched the motivational speaking space like on YouTube. He's the OG.
That's amazing.
And I would listen to them every day when I went to the gym. And I ended up starting a podcast at the beginning of my journey. It was called Young and Fearless. And I had him on because I had a mastermind and someone connected me with him. And I ended up getting him on my podcast. And I remember that was like one of the best days of my life. And I asked him, because I didn't have very much money at the time. So I asked him, I was like, hey, Jarrett, like, can I hire you? And he was like, yeah, I started, I think he quoted me a grant somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 a month. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't have that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what can we, I offered him to trades, like a trade.
Yeah.
And he was like, don't do that. He was like, don't trade your time. Like, let's work something out. You're driven, like you're going to be successful. Let's work something out. And so I ended up paying him like $300 a month for a call or two a month.
Wow.
And that was a game changer for me.
That's awesome.
So I found a way. I was like, I'm going to find a way to make this happen.
Yeah. That's awesome. You move the mic a little closer. You're good. And so did you do those online like inspirational videos? I think I saw some of them.
I've done a few.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done a few.
Any like really taken off, or that you felt like helped impact your business?
I think that they definitely have impacted my business.
Sure.
I mean, I have some that have like 20,000 views on Facebook.
Awesome.
I did one with my buddy Ryan Weber that's on the Red Frost Motivation channel. It's not featuring me. I edited it and we put it together to promote him, and that is at somewhere between 180 and 200K.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the most viral video I created was when I was 12. And it was called Crack a Password.
What?
And it was like, and basically it was just like looking at the remembered passwords in Mozilla Firefox. It was like, you weren't cracking anything. Like, you're looking at the remembered passwords, but at a young age, I was thinking, what can I type so that people will see this video? And that got 800,000 views.
Holy crap.
And then it ended up taken down for like copy, because when they made the shift with YouTube, with like music in the background, I had Kanye West playing in the background. So like they took it down. But my squeaky voice was like, I'm going to show you how to crack a password today.
Yeah.
But I've always been into like YouTube and media and things like that.
Yeah, YouTube's super interesting because it's gotten more difficult to get traction on it because there's just so many creators on it now.
For sure.
But like there was a really sweet spot time to like jump in and like start that. I still think it's kind of like with any platform, like there's still tons of possibility with it, but putting shorter videos on Instagram or having like the shareability on Facebook seems like at this time like a way like easier way to get in. And with YouTube, there's definitely, it's like a really hardcore following. There's YouTubers, like people every day that are on YouTube, and like they're subscribing and actually going to watch every day when you put a new video out, whereas maybe not as dedicated on Instagram and Facebook. So if you can get that following on YouTube, it's gold. It's just so difficult.
It is challenging. It is really challenging. And I have a lot of buddies who have great followings on YouTube. And what I love about Facebook video is that if you create a video, you can run ads. Like I run ads to my videos. So like, I can put $100 into a video and I'll reach 10,000 people who might like Tony Robbins or might like, different names, and reach 10,000 people that I would have never reached before, because you can get views for a cent a view.
Right.
So it's super cheap. So that's a strategy that I use. And
have you ever done that on YouTube?
On YouTube
ads?
I haven't played with YouTube ads.
It's the same kind of thing where you could just say everybody that's watching a Tony Robbins video or on his channel or something with that keyword in it, you can run your ad before. So it's interesting.
Actually, now that I do remember, I didn't mess around with YouTube ads a little bit. I think I put like $10 into one and got like 1,000 views or something, but it didn't feel like it was quality. Now I'm shifting into the space where I'm thinking, like my mind space right now, and you guys will see this implemented in the future. My mind space now is like, what kind of ad can I create for YouTube, to draw people to my channel, or what kind of ad can I create for YouTube so that I can bring people to my product and my program or my site, and drop a pixel and then run more Facebook ads and target them. And now I'm thinking that way so that I can reach more people. And I built my business really truly solely off organic, my network. That's awesome. Organic. And I've messed around with Facebook ads a bit, and I've made some money with Facebook ads, but primarily it's organic. So now I'm shifting into running campaigns and cold traffic and expanding my webinars and things like that. It's really exciting for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That, how about Instagram? Cause that's, you have a really good following on Instagram. Like what were you using to grow that, and how long have you been focusing on that?
So for Instagram, recently I've been shifting my thinking around Instagram.
Okay.
At a certain time, I was just kind of posting to post. And, I've had Instagram for a while, put quality content, hired some different people to manage my accounts and build and grow my accounts. And, but what I've been focused on recently with Instagram is, how can people see me? I don't want people to like go, and how can they gain value from me? I don't want people just to go on my Instagram and be like, oh, cool, this is some lifestyle entrepreneur guy or some mindset guy, and he posts motivational quotes. I think it's extremely saturated. My intention with Instagram, my focus with Instagram is, how can I create deep, authentic relationship with the people who follow me and create value for them so that I can serve them in a higher capacity in the long run. And so I'm constantly thinking about different ways that I can add humor to my Instagram, different ways that I can share more vulnerably and authentically than I've ever shared before on social media on Instagram, because that does really well. I believe that people go on social media because most people go on social media because they're actually craving connection. And like on a deep level, they're just craving connection. And so as somebody who is a business owner and a high impact entrepreneur and wants to make a difference in people's lives, the more authentic and real I can be on my social media platform, the more people will be able to connect with me and trust me and, want to work with me.
100%. The depth over width, like for a period of time, is good. I mean, forever, but at a certain point, you've got a good following, and there's so much room to go deeper with that audience. And so having a balance of like, okay, this content's going to grow. I know it's kind of like mainstream, it's got 20 good hashtags, it's motivational, that's going to go and help me build the following. But without the depth behind it of like, here's who I am, here's some good, like, way less than the surface level tips. And going deeper with it is how you take, that 10,000 people and actually build a relationship, because otherwise it's just a number,
Yeah. People don't realize that they might have 400 to 1,000 followers on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And they think that to build a business, they need to be some big influencer with 100,000 followers, 500,000 followers, or then they're not credible. Like that's absolutely not true at all. I believe that we live in a consumer society and that people want to buy things. People want to spend money, especially when it comes to growing and developing themselves. So if you have 400 or 1,000 followers and you're really focused on creating the maximum amount of value for those people, I believe that you could grow a business starting there. Like 100%. Many people can do that.
Well, and it comes down to also, as we're looking at hiring influencers for our clients and for this and everything, it's interesting the amount of accounts with 100,000, 200, all the way up to 1 million that have zero depth, and they're charging, $4,000 or $5,000 for a post. And as soon as they post, like we hired some guy the other day, it got 100,000 followers on his page, got 9,000 likes on it, and not one person followed me back. Now the content could have been maybe better, it could have had some better hashtags, maybe it could have been enticing, but that means it's just numbers. Like there's no depth to that,
It's not real.
Versus somebody that has 20,000 or even 10,000 or 5,000, but every single one of them knows them, and maybe they DM them or they talk to them or they've bought something from them. That is way more impactful. And I think as influencers grow, people that their sole purpose is to just influence, like get paid to promote products, they have to go deeper. Like
for sure,
cannot just be an Instagram model and think that you're going to get $10,000 for a post. Like you have to be layered like deeper with your audience, and you're going to get paid 10 times the amount with the same amount of followers. You could focus on going deeper than trying to get to 1 million. And if you make a post and people believe you and trust you, and it sells, 10,000 units of whatever you're selling versus, having to have 1 million, you don't need 1 million followers to do that. If I promoted a product right now on my page, I would sell something. The guy with 100,000 followers, if he promoted something, he wouldn't sell any. So it's definitely the quality of the audience, but that's not up to the audience. That's up to like you to create the relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
it's all about tribe.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you said you want to talk a little bit like about mindset and different things. So if there's something that like a topic you want to kind of dive into and go after, take the reins here.
Yeah. I want to talk a bit about like a lot of entrepreneurs, they're limited by fear and their own stories and their own beliefs about themselves and about business and about life. And, I want to hit on a few points about fear that I think are really because I think everybody can relate with that. Every next step we take in business to go to another level, it's like there's fear saying, hey, like that's been my experience of business of like, all right, you want to go to the next level with that webinar or with ads. It's like, okay, I'm getting in front of people that I don't know now, that I've never met. Like, what are they going to think? Are they going to, drop hate? Are they going to support me? That fear of judgment comes up. And so I think it's important as an entrepreneur to be able to see it, experience, and overcome it, and to transition that fear into faith. And so I am big on understanding the energy of fear and how to shift that and how to transform it to turn it into faith or turn it into fuel to drive myself in the journey and to show other people how to use it to drive them. So I'll share a few ways that, you can turn fear into personal power. And one of the ways is reframing fear as a navigator. So instead of experiencing that fear and being like, oh my God, most people are just like, oh, the fear. I view fear as a navigator. It's like a compass. And so whatever I feel fear towards in the business world, I'm going to move in that direction. Yeah. Because I also, reframe number 2, believe that fear is actually growth potential in disguise.
Of course.
And I also believe that on the other side of fear is freedom. Every time I've pushed through that fear, overcome that fear, I've experienced freedom, whether it's more financial freedom or time freedom in my life, or just the freedom from that fear, the freedom of being held back in limitation. And another one that I love, another reframe that I love is if you're going after something where you're feeling fear, to wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Of like, because most people do not move through the fear. Most people are a prisoner of their fear. And so as an entrepreneur, as a creator, I feel like it's really important to kind of wear fear. It's interesting. Wear fear, to have a relationship with fear like it's a badge of honor of, yes, I'm afraid and I'm going to move through it anyway. And to shift it into abundance. So I think of everything as energy. So when I'm feeling that fear, I connect with it, and at the level of the fear is the level of the abundance that's waiting for me on the other side. So I think that it's like, oh, I'm really afraid right now. Like, let's say I'm going to speak in front of people, okay? And I'm feeling that fear. And before I step out, I'm feeling it, and I have a choice in that moment. It's either going to stop me and I'm going to walk out, or I'm going to move forward.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling it, and then I connect with it, and I go, wait, this is the abundance of the fulfillment of my impact that I'm actually deciding I'm unworthy of in this moment right now. So I'm turning the energy against me. And so then I decide to shift the energy from in to out, and I turn the fear into excitement, and then I go out there and make a difference and make an impact. So you can use this for speaking. You can use this for launching businesses. You can use this for anything. People can use this in dating. Yeah. Like if they see someone attractive that they want to walk up to. Oh my God, I'm so afraid. Well, what if that fear is actually the abundance of the richness of the relationship that's waiting for you? And then you step into that. Or, oh my God, I'm afraid to ask this person, let's say that you want to create a business deal that's $10,000. Oh my God, I'm afraid to ask them for 10K. Like, oh, that's a lot of money, whatever the conversation is.
Yeah.
No, that fear is the abundance of the 10 grand and the impact that you're going to have on that person waiting for you. So let's do it. Feel the fear, experience it, embrace it, and move through it anyway. And freedom's waiting for you on the other side.
Yeah.
So
I think that's incredible. Like that seems to be over the last year, every time that, especially because I've gone through all 3 of the next levels over the last year, and I've just done so many like game changing, like just things that have like affected my life that have been really scary. The scarier it was the bigger the payoff was at the end. It's the scary, if you're afraid to look for that client or afraid to ask that client, it means it's probably it has the biggest payoff. That's why you're afraid of it, because you're afraid of the potential of what it could be. But the other thing I was going to kind of bring up was because Vinny and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about anxiety, and it sounds like it's in parallel with what you're talking about, where he's saying, anxiety and excitement are essentially the exact same thing. Physiologically, that's the word. Yeah. Say philosophy. Yeah. So
we're fair physiologically.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to speak into that more, because that to me I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
That's a bigger reframe too. And it's really cool. In my group, in my Mindset Mastery membership group, we have this private mastermind group called the Lifestyle Redesign Mastermind. Okay. And one of my old clients is in the group, and she's in the program. And so when she first signed up with me, she had anxiety to the level where she couldn't even go on an airplane. Okay. She was terrified to fly. She had anxiety when she drove. And we worked for 3 months on that and on other things as well, and shifting that anxiety into excitement and reframing it, shifting the experience of it so that you are empowered instead of your anxiety owning you. And so she just commented on the group the other day that she's like, I threw all of my anxiety medication out because I don't need it anymore. And I saw that, and I just thought about all the conversations we had, and I was like, wow, that's so awesome. So how do you do that? I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who have experienced anxiety, experience it. Some people have relationship with anxiety where it literally owns them. And, I've struggled with anxiety at different parts of my life. I remember the first speech I gave in speech class. When I was walking up, my heart would be pounding in my chest. I would literally be sweating. I would just be terrified in reaction when I was walking in the room, like what people would think about me. And when I stepped up, just like delivering the speech from, I want to say the right thing, and just having all this anxiety filling me up, and it halts your performance.
Yeah.
There's a difference between someone giving a speech from anxiety and fear and giving a speech from power and cause. And I'm going to make a difference. And so fear and anxiety, they're very similar. I feel like anxiety is a cousin of fear.
Sure.
And so how do you turn anxiety into excitement is by shifting the orientation of the expression of the emotion. Anxiety is just excitement focused in. So the direction of the energy is boom. And so, of course, it's going to stop you and it's going to hold you back. But if you go, instead of saying, I feel anxious, locking that emotion in with a label which is anxious, and you go, I am really excited right now. I'm really excited. I'm so excited. And then you go out, you're shifting that energy. And then you're going to go out there and make a massive difference and feel excited.
Right.
And the cool thing is, I also feel, this is a pre-frame that I use, a shift that I use is anytime before I go up to speak, even before this interview, I felt a little bit of nervousness. And I interpret it as, this is energy that I'm receiving from the universe that's going to serve me in the interview or before I go and speak in front of a group of people. Of course, I'm going to feel all this energy coming into my body because I'm about to speak in front of X amount of people. And that takes energy. So of course, life is giving me that energy. My body is sourcing that energy right now. And a lot of people, they're not used to it. So they're overwhelmed by it and they identify it as anxiety. But I have trained myself, and I believe everyone can train themselves to shift their emotions into something that empowers them by shifting anxiety into excitement or shifting fear into courage.
But it's also like deeper than just calling it something different. I think it's easy to say, okay, well, anxiety is just excitement with like called something different. But you really have to actually, I think, understand what you're saying, and that's you have to make kind of an active approach to say, like, this is what's happening right now, and I'm going to take a second and reframe my situation, and not just be like, well, I'm anxious all the time, but I learned that's just excitement. So like, it's not quite that simple.
Yeah.
But it is awesome to fall back into that and say, I'm like, before, like, I've been what I thought was, maybe who knows, but like I've felt anxious a lot over my whole life. And as even in like the last couple of weeks, when like I started to think about this, like with Vinny, and as you're elaborating on it too, like maybe all that was just excitement. And each like step by step go through it, I'm like, yeah, like it's before a talk. And then I realized I love public speaking. Like I really do. I'm not like the world's best speaker, but one day we'll get there. And so I'm like, I'm just excited about speaking. And like that energy kind of gets me all, I trip over my words and stuff, but you can really look at it and be like, yeah, like I'm actually just overly excited about things a lot. And I've called it anxiety, and I'm like, really not. Like I'm just excited about lots of things. I have like a lot of excess energy. And so it's when you reframe it as that, you're not like a victim to the situation. You're very much like, yeah, like just taking responsibility. Like I'm a very energetic, excited person. And if that means that I get a little bit extra like spastic at times or nervous or
twitching,
however it comes off, like it doesn't mean that I'm like an anxious wreck all the time. Like there's just moments in life where you're overly excited, and that's okay.
For sure. Yeah. And I can hear, some people thinking, oh, Nick, Ryan, it's easier said than done. Like, you could be like, oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm anxious. I struggle with anxiety. How can you just say it's excitement? Like, that's not fair. But the truth is, can you shift it in a moment? With practice? Yes. And it does take practice. And, I'm not saying that anxiety doesn't exist. I'm not saying that anxiety isn't real. I'm not invalidating anyone's experience of anxiety, their anxiousness. What I'm saying is like, I'm asking the question, what if there's an opportunity there for you? What if there's an opportunity for you to turn a disempowering state into an empowering state? And if there is, take it. And a lot of our relationship with life defines our emotional experience. Meaning, if I have a relationship with life where, let's just use giving a talk for an example, where I have to be always in control of everything that's happening.
Okay.
And I am going up into a space where I'm not going to be in control, where I'm in front of people can say and do what they say and do. You're going to feel like I'm going to feel anxious. But if my relationship with life is, I trust that life is on my side, and I trust that life is happening for me, and I trust myself and my ability to respond as necessary when things come my way, then when you're speaking in front of people, the anxiety isn't going to roll you. It's going to be enjoyment and flow and fun and play and a totally different experience. That's
super interesting. Yeah. When you're like always trying to be in control, and then most of like anxiety comes from like not being in control. Mm-hmm. And so switching your mindset, not on that situation, but on everything outside of that situation to where it doesn't feel like this unnatural thing. That's super interesting. Nice.
That's why I love mindset.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about touching on like next level a little bit and diving into that?
Let's do it.
I've got about 1,000 friends out there that, I have not addressed this with yet. So I figure you're the perfect guy to do it. So you want to take the reins also on like where you're going with it, because you're going all the way. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So my vision, next level, for the people that don't know, next level is a transformational emotional intelligence and leadership training in Columbus. There's also one in Philly. And for me, it was the most powerful transformational experience in my life. It was an experience of accepting myself, truly accepting myself, loving who I am, turning from a insecure boy into really a confident man. And it's really been a super strong foundation for me growing my business. And I even met my girlfriend, Natalie, through Next Level. That's awesome. I've learned a lot of communication tools throughout the journey that have really supported our relationship and thriving, and us, learning how to resolve conflicts and work together and create team and create an environment in our relationship that thrives instead of one that's driven by scarcity. So do you want to do like a Q&A around next level?
Sure.
Well, my vision, the question that you asked, my vision, I'm developing myself to be a trainer of really everything, like all the work. There's the discovery training, the breakthrough training. I'm really focused on developing myself as a trainer for the VIP weekends and for the breakthrough training. And then after that, the discovery training, which is about discovering and redesigning the limiting beliefs that hold us back in our life. And breakthrough is about breaking through everything that has ever held you back. So breaking through the fear, breaking through the guilt, breaking through the resentment, breaking through the doubt, breaking through the whatever limiting, disempowering story that you've created about yourself. We all have one. So, and breaking into freedom, truly freedom of owning your power, accepting yourself, and being free of those limiting beliefs and those challenges that people tend to face.
So you're working backwards, kind of. So you want to start with VIP and then do breakthrough.
Yep.
And then eventually discovery. So that's cool. Awesome.
Yep.
And you're getting
teens. I do the teen. I'm a teen VIP trainer, and I love working with teens.
That's awesome.
It fills me up. It's so awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And is that how you're already like in the room, right? And what's your kind of timeline to be fully on and training?
Yeah, the way it works, my intention is within the next year to be a certified breakthrough trainer.
Nice.
And the way it works, and maybe sooner, maybe longer.
Sure.
The way it works is, my mentors, Chris Lee, Michael Strasner, Chris Hawker. It's not something where it's like, all right, here's your time frame, and like this how long it's going to take. It's really, there's a lot of nuances and depth to this work, and it takes a high level of mastery. So it's really whenever Chris and Michael are like, you're ready to go, like you're there, that's when I'm ready, because this work, I mean, we're going deep with people.
Yeah.
So it's not like they wouldn't just be like, all right, Ryan, it's not about running exercises.
Right.
This is about learning the skills and strategies to really go deep with people and create an experience and create an environment that supports them in transforming every single area of their life.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I like that there's not like you've learned everything, so now it's like time, but I didn't know like the goal being a year is great. So like that's awesome. I like also that it's not rushed, whenever you feel like, whenever like your mentors feel like it's time, and when you feel like it's time, then you're going out, I think helps everybody that is coming in know that the trainers in the room are beyond qualified and have done every like thing they can to get themselves ready.
For sure.
So, so what do you think? Is there a way that you can explain next level that to people that have no idea what do you mean? What is mindset coaching? What is leadership training? Like what's like your simplest way of explaining next level and how somebody could kind of get started with it?
So the simplest way that I would describe next level is it's an opportunity to look at the things that aren't working in your life. It's an opportunity to look at the ways of being, the character traits that are either consciously or unconsciously holding you back. Really putting up a mirror in terms of how you operate in business or in life or in your relationships, so that you can see your blind spots. Because if we don't experience blind spots, if we don't see our blind spots, we can miss out on opportunities. We miss out on fulfillment in our relationships because there may be a blind spot that we have that's causing conflict in a relationship. There may be a blind spot that we have that's causing us to lose money in our business. There may be a blind spot that we have that is affecting our health in a negative way. So it allows you to see your blind spots, and there's different exercises to support you in doing that. And then next level gives you an opportunity to break through those blind spots, to raise your level of self-awareness, and really to take yourself to the next level, whatever that is for you.
Right. That's awesome. And so for everybody that, as you're talking about the different programs, like Discovery is the kind of the first step, the basic training, and some other places that they call it that. And that is 3 days, and it's in Columbus and in Philly. And that is, discovering, what is holding you back. And that's the broadest way to describe it. Yeah. And then
it's so much more than that.
Right. And then, next is Breakthrough, which is like a 4-day, and then VIP, which is 3 months, which 3 months, it's 3 months, but for people that are like, oh no, it's 3 weekends once a month with kind of work throughout, and then a community service project at the end where you get to raise a bunch of money, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
So it's for me at least, that next level was what brought me back down to Columbus, because I went to school down here, did the haunted house in Cleveland. And then when the haunted house, when we lost our haunted house building, we've kind of been looking for a while. I'm like, well, until that takes off, at least let's move back down. After Breakthrough, we've been looking at apartments, and there's nothing holding us in Cleveland right now. Let's move down to Columbus. And I was like, yeah, we'll get to it. Let's look at apartments, and and then the morning after Breakthrough, I woke up and looked at Jess, and I'm like, yeah, we should probably go find an apartment down here today. And she's like, what? She'd never been through, so she thinks I just lost my mind after Breakthrough.
You're like, no, I found it.
Yeah, up till 5 a.m. telling her everything about it, as excited as I was, and she's like, okay. And then she was on completely with me, because I was dragging my feet on moving down here, and she was like, all right, let's do it. And so we found an apartment that day, signed a lease, and moved down. We had to wait 2 months to get the apartment we wanted, and moved down at the beginning of the year, and been here for almost a year and a couple months now. So that was what brought me down. And then she did all 3, and then in her VIP got me into VIP. So she rolled me in VIP while she was doing it. So that was awesome. So it's a
journey.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. It's intense at times, but it's just so incredible. So been hugely transformational, in my business, and especially in our relationship, both of us going through it has been it's like a whole new relationship since we both went through it.
Yeah. I mean, it was night and day for me, like stepping in, I was insecure, never was in a relationship before, intimidated by women, wanting to be a successful entrepreneur. So I was massively compensating and like wanted to look successful, but had no business experience. Sure. And then, literally 4 or 5 months later, because it's, Discovery, Breakthrough, VIP, at the end of the 5 months, it's like about 4 to 5 months, the whole journey, making a full-time living in my business, learning this confident. And then that allowed me to fall in love. And I was already great in the health area, but what I really loved was the friends that I made and the connections that I made. Cause it's like, going into a room where there's a ton of new people that you've never met before, but then the environment of support that's created is just incredible. So I made friends that will last a lifetime and have created so many amazing relationships through it. It's an invaluable experience for sure.
So you were doing the health training before Next Level, or was that when
I was dabbling?
Okay.
I was dabbling. So I was doing meal plans for people.
Okay.
And workout plans, making a few $100 a month. Mm-hmm. And then after Next Level, I went all in on coaching. And that's where my business started to grow.
So you dropped out of college before then. How soon after were you in Next Level?
My Discovery graduation was the same day that I would have been graduating from my second year of college.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's too cool.
And it felt so right.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is the place.
Wow. That's amazing. So that's been, and then since, how long has it been? Which VIP were you?
2.
Oh, wow.
So I think 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. 19, 20, 19 and a half, maybe longer, 19, 20, 21, maybe 3.5, 4 years.
No.
4 years feels too long. I think maybe 3.5.
That's awesome. No, I think for everybody that's listening that has kind of heard, I assume in both of our circles, everybody's heard about Next Level. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because just to provide any clarity that anybody needs. And if anybody has, questions about the program or wants to learn more about it, just message me. Don't bother going to the website or doing whatever. Just message one of us and we'll answer any questions that you have and guide you in the right direction. So it's definitely something I'd recommend everybody taking part in. So there's that. So what else do you want to touch on? There was one area at the end that I wanted to talk about, but I think we already covered, which is just going over marketing, since that's kind of the topic.
I want to flip the interview.
Go for it.
I want to interview you.
Sure.
What is one lesson that you've learned over the last year that if you were at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, you would use to accelerate your journey?
I would say being overly confident in my own decisions and my own ideas. I like to brainstorm with other people a lot, and just because it's fun, but it leads me down a path of just overthinking everything. And so being kind of on my own in this business and being able to just make decisions without business partners has been enjoyable and fun. And I understand the value of them, and I'm not trying to downplay that, but trusting myself, it's not so silly, but it's the simplest, dumbest answer. But when I moved in here, I was like, we should paint a wall green. And everybody that walked in, green's gonna look like shit. Don't do that. And then last week, I was like, I'm gonna do everything that I said that I wanted to do in this office, and painted the wall green and did that. And I'm like, I don't even know if it looks the best, but great. It's what I wanted. And it was just so funny because everything along the way, I'm like, I started a podcast, and a bear I talked to is like, well, what are you going to do? You should plan it. You should do this. I'm like, no, we're just start a podcast. And then that was on Friday. Saturday, Ryan and I, other Ryan, who was graphics and video guy, me and him went to Micro Center and Guitar Center and bought everything. The next day I painted and cleaned the place up. And then, we had our first guest. And it was, with everything, it's not overthinking my own decisions and trusting kind of the creative thought process that I have, because I come up with a lot of really good creative ideas for clients. And when, I get too many people in a room and brainstorm things, it's kind of like I'm doing it, I think, just for the purpose of qualifying my ideas.
Getting reassurance.
Yeah. Instead of just being like, yep, that's good. And if it's not, we'll learn really quickly. Like, it's okay. So that's one thing I think is going kind of back into that, because very, very, very early on, when you're just starting, you're like, yeah, whatever, like, let's try that. And for a while I was not doing that. And now it's been really fun to kind of go back into that, and just the simplest things that I'm like, yeah, I can just do that. Like, I trust that that's going to work out. And if it doesn't, is it worth thinking about for the next 3 months and then doing it? Like, no, like, just try it and do it. So going back to trying and testing and just not being afraid to screw things up. And that's a thing that I feel like I lost for a little bit. And so in the last year, I've remembered that, and it's been huge.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I would say I completely relate with that.
Yeah.
Like doing the same thing, trusting myself.
Yeah. Trusting myself.
Lessening the amount of time between the idea popping in and the execution of it.
Yep.
Yeah. I would probably have triple, quadruple the results that I do right now if I did that.
Sure.
Because we spend so much time just like, oh, is this a good idea? Is that a good idea? Should I do that? Should I do this? Looking for outside permission, when it's like, oh, trust yourself.
Yeah.
One time, my girlfriend was sleeping, and apparently a message had to come through to her. I was sleeping next to her. She was sleeping, and probably the scariest experience of her life, I reach over in my sleep, grab her shoulders, and I go, trust yourself. And then I go back to sleep. And she was like, what? She woke me up, and she was like, Ryan, are you okay? I was like, going back to sleep. But she is like, well, apparently I had to hear to trust myself. So every time I hear trust myself, I think of that. I coach in my sleep. Like I coach in my sleep.
That's funny.
Yeah. Like I'll lead trainings in my sleep. Like, I don't do it intentionally. I'm just doing it all the time. So of course, when I'm sleeping,
right,
that's what I'm doing. It's a great way to get extra hours in.
Sleeping is like super interesting. That was actually kind of funny. We touched on it like for a couple of minutes. We saw each other at one of the Next Level events, and God, that'd make really good topic. It's just like lucid dreaming and like sleep. That's something that like lately I've been having like crazy dreams, like kind of hacking like the lucid dreaming thing. And
that's cool.
It's been fun, but also like gets kind of like freaky at times. So what do you, just talk to me a little bit about it, because that was something you brought up to me, was like hacking your sleep.
Yeah, I was bringing up this idea, like I haven't gone all in on it yet. I have had lucid dreams before. Mm-hmm. And recently I've been telling myself before I go to sleep, I'm going to have a lucid dream. I'm going to have a lucid dream. I'm going to have a lucid dream. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But it's this idea of, I believe that the dream world is similar to the ocean, where, you know how they say like, what is the statistic? 95% of the ocean is unexplored.
Sure.
Like, we think we know so much. We think we know, like, oh yeah, when I dreamed this happened. Like, what if when you dreamed, it actually unlocked different levels of consciousness where you could connect with mentors who have passed away and ask them any question you would want to, or you could connect with people, the spirits or the souls of people that you look up to right now, or that version of them in the dream world, or what your imagination thinks that version of them is, or sit and manifest the unconscious, or like manifest your unconscious mind in a being and reprogram your subconscious in a conversation just like this, where it's like, all right, Nick, you're my all right, I'm in a dream, you're my subconscious, and I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to tell you what's happening. I'm going to be focused. I'm going to trust myself. No more analysis paralysis. We're going to create massive results.
That's wild.
Like, so I think exploring, constantly being curious and finding new possibilities is really important. And yeah, it's a cool idea, and I think it's worth exploring.
Yeah, I think dreaming with like just lucid dreaming in general is something that has been really fascinating. The fact that you can control that, I've always thought, like, how can you I can get restful sleep, but then still have like a whole extra, almost like an extra part of your day. It's like I can go to sleep and then just wake up, or I could like my mind can still work all night. Like that's wild. And it doesn't, like, you don't ever feel like wake up and feel you weren't rested. So it's super weird. Like, how can you control your mind and like have your mind be active, but you're sleeping? It's like, if you could gain that part of the day, it sounds super crazy and philosophical, but like it's true. Like people do it all the time. Like I can almost every night I can 100% control like my dream and lucid dream. And it gets, when I can't, it becomes super freaky because I like false awaken all the time. And like, that's like 20 in a row. It's like the other night I woke up.
Do you like see like demons when you like?
No, but that's a whole thing.
That. Like they're sleep paralysis and they're like seeing stuff in their room.
That is supposed to be like the scariest. It's a real thing. Like it's where people get terrified of it. There's a movie on Netflix called like Nightmare, and it was like one of the only scary movies that I like turned off because I'm good. Like it was because it's just like a actual documentary. Like it's like real, and so I was like, nah, I'm good. Like I don't want to wake up, not be able to move, and see demons in my room. I'm good. I don't even want to put that in my, like, I didn't want to put that in my mind that that's a possibility. So I was like, no, we're good. We'll watch something else. But have you ever done that where you're like, oh, like, you know, like I think we always like think we woke up and hit our alarm off.
Yeah.
I do it like 15 times.
Oh, wow.
And it's the scariest thing like ever, because when scary stuff's happening, like you're having like a nightmare and you like go to wake up and then you're like, oh great, and it like comes back. You're like, what the, like 15 times in a row. I want to know what that's like about.
Some Inception shit right there.
Yeah. And I'm like, it happened the other night, and I just completely like, I was like, I want to make sure I get like a really good like sleep tonight, and I didn't. Just kept waking up over and over and over again, but not really, in like a different, a little bit altered state. Yeah, it's like the room's a little bit different color or hue.
Wow.
And then like something terrifying would happen. I'd be like, shit, like try and wake up. Super weird. But
wow. Most
of the time, 95% of the time, I can fully control like a dream, and that's fun, but like not when you like wake up 20 times in a row.
Yeah, I haven't had that type of reoccurring, like waking up that often. I haven't experienced that. I'm a very sound sleeper. Like,
yeah.
I'm like out. But I've had pretty cool lucid dreams where cool. I'm just like I always go to old places in my dreams. Like I'll go to I've had reoccurring dreams where I'll be walking around my neighborhood and not able to find my old house.
Oh, weird.
Or like I'll be in my, like the first lucid dream I ever had, I was in my old school and I was just like, oh, I'm dreaming. And then I started looking around to make sure that I can see everything and really making it real, anchoring the dream. And then I started losing track of the dream. And so then I just started focusing on this one thing to make it real. And there's like this blob creature that like went by me and I like ran after it or something. And then it was over.
That's wild.
But yeah, dreams are really fascinating. And an inspirational point that I want to make with dreams is that it's for everyone that's listening to land, is that a lot of people have dreams in their mind and then they tend to make their dream wrong or not acknowledge their dream or say that they're not worthy of their dream. And I believe that every dream that's planted in our mind, our desires, our dreams, they're planted in our mind for a reason. Like there's specific people on the planet who have dreams to create onion goggles, like Chris Hawker. You know, there's specific, Nick, you had the dream to create Sky Sprout.
Right.
There's a reason why Sky Sprout didn't pop in my mind, because I'm not the person to birth that dream. You are.
Right.
And so I believe like our mind is a soil for new things to be created into our reality. And when we have dreams, we're acknowledging a seed that's in our mind. And when we don't allow that dream to come through us, we're denying something new to be born into this reality. And so what I want to land with everyone listening is that dream that's in your mind or that desire that's in your heart, it's there for a reason. And it's there to be born into this reality. So acknowledge it, nourish it, and focus on it, and do whatever it takes to bring it into reality.
So what do you say when you're having, I guess it probably comes back to the fear conversation we were talking about earlier. You know, when somebody's having a dream say they're trying to start a business and they keep having a dream, they're like, oh, it's not going to work, or like all the bad stuff that possible is becoming a reality in their head. Do you just reframe it in the same way?
Well, there's a distinction there. So there's the dream, and then there is the ego, which is our old self, our old programming that wants to hold us back from making that dream a reality. So another part of mindset is being self-aware to the level that you can see the difference between what's real and what's not. Right. What's real, meaning the dream, what's not, the fear.
Right. So you just recognize it. Same thing. It's like maybe if you're having a bunch of dreams at night, that this new scary experience is, that it keeps manifesting as scary, could be a good thing. It means you're right. Yeah. The same thing as in the middle of the day when you're thinking that it's scary. It's because you're going in the right direction with it. So,
or maybe it's a really big opportunity, and your brain, and you really care about it, and your brain is finding different ways to see, oh my gosh, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? So that you are aware of those and you acknowledge them and you see them and you can prevent them from happening in the future. Yeah. That's another perspective as well.
That's awesome. Well, cool. What, if there's anything else you want to talk about or any other topics, feel free. Otherwise we can do whatever you want, man.
I think we're good. I'm super inspired, Nick. By everything that you've created here.
Thank you.
Sky Sprout, all the success that you've created so far. It's really inspiring to me as a younger dude.
Thanks.
I like to see what you've created. And I love the action that you're taking, how quick you made this happen. Like, it's really cool. And it's an honor to be on this podcast. So thanks for making this possible. Thanks for creating a space where I can share my message and serve whoever is listening to this, and, creating that not only for myself, but everyone who's been on this podcast so far and will continue to be on it in the future.
100%. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming out, sharing your story and a bunch of awesome mindfulness tips and everything. Like, that's huge value to my audience too. So absolutely. Thank you so much.
Sure thing.
Well, cool. All right, guys. Now Ryan gets to do some plugging to what he does and give us some where to find you and your business, and then also if there's a program or something that you want to kind of point people towards.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so if you want to get in contact with me, if you have a dream that you want to make a reality, or you have mindset challenges that you're facing, whether it's doubt, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, resistance, they've been holding you back, you can check out my website, ryanclarkin.com. Or what I love to do is, if you add me on Facebook, shoot me a message. Let's talk. Let's connect. I would love to hear about what you're working on, what your dream is, and how I can support you. I also have the Mindset Mastery membership, which is, again, a tool, a program that people can use to elevate their mindset. And if you want access to that, you can reach out to me. And because I don't have, it's mindsetmasterymembership.com. That's a login portal.
Okay.
I don't have a link ready for that right now. So,
but you want Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram, Ryan Clarkin. Ryan Clarkin on Facebook, Ryan Clarkin on Instagram.
Nice.
RyanClarkin.com. Yeah, reach out, and I'd love to see how I can support you in your journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And the live stream cut off, but we'll post this on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, everything. And then there'll be some little snippets throughout the week that you can share with your audience too. So it'll be very, very clear where it is. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Nick.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks.